Now, the third universal law of leadership is the law of expectation. This law simply states this: whatever you expect with confidence becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's one of the basic principles of life that before we can achieve anything, we must first determine in our minds what we want. Now, Stephen Covey is one of my favorite authors, and he wrote the classic 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said that in order to be successful, you need to begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind is based on the principle that all things are created twice. So what does he mean? Well, first there's the mental creation, and then second there's the physical creation. And according to Covey, this is applied to all things. It's true for anything you want to do in life. Now, let me give you an example. If you want to build a new home, you would first create every detail of the home in your mind before you put the first nail in place. Then you'd create that home in a blueprint, which provides you with the construction plans. And finally, at that point, you can begin the actual physical building of the home. Now, as a leader in Ladara, you're building a business, and it's kind of like building a new home. The expectations you have for your business must first be created in your mind, and then second, created physically through your leadership ability. Now, as a leader, there are 3 parts to the law of expectation. Number 1, you have to set the expectation for you and your team. Number 2, you have to believe in that expectation. And number 3, you have to declare that expectation. So, first, what's the expectation that you have for yourself and your team? And here's where I encourage you to set that bar high. One of my favorite business books of all time is a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And one of the key findings of Collins' research is that great leaders create what he calls our big, hairy, audacious goals. BHAG. He calls it a BHAG. So create a BHAG for you and your group. If you're just getting started with Ladara, do you want to be a team leader, a senior team leader, or a senior team leader 2 in the next 2 to 3 months? Do you want to get that Lux car bonus and all the other benefits associated with those titles? Do you want to get completely out of debt in the next 24 to 36 months? Do you want to be a national team leader and begin to experience true financial freedom? It doesn't matter. Whatever your goal is great. But make sure you set that bar high with a stretch goal. Something that really gets your juices flowing. So create a BHAG. Next, you have to believe in your heart that the expectation is going to come true. There can be no doubt in your mind that you're going to achieve your goal. And third, you have to declare that expectation to your team. Now let me give you one of my favorite examples of this. Back in 2003, when Free Life, which is Ladara's parent company, launched Himalayan Goji Juice, we declared our expectation that this was going to be the billion-dollar berry. And this was before we even sold 1 bottle. So people laughed at us. They said, "How can you expect to do over $1 billion in sales from a little red berry? That's ridiculous. That's impossible." Well, we didn't care what they said. We ignored the naysayers. We believed in ourselves. And we declared our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal from day one. We shouted it from the rooftops. We even wrote about it in our company magazine. Our total expectation and belief was that this little red berry from Asia was going to create a wave of health and well-being for everyone and become a billion-dollar business for our marketing executives. Well, several years later, just as we expected, that declaration came true, and now that billion-dollar berry has done well over $1 billion in sales and helped people all over the world prosper financially and health-wise. That's the power of expectation. Now at Ladara, we created a BHAG from day one, and it's very clear, it gets our juices going, and we know we're going to achieve it. And here it is. We're going to capture at least 1% of the anti-aging market in the US by the year 2020. That's what we call our 2020 vision. 1% of a $100 billion industry would make us a billion-dollar company, and that doesn't even include our international markets. Is that a BHAG? Absolutely. Do we have the plans in place to reach that goal? Absolutely. Will we do it? Absolutely. Now, Back when I was in college, I majored in political science, but I took a bunch of religion classes because I had a very keen interest in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And my favorite book of the Bible is Mark. And there's many reasons why I love the Gospel of Mark, but I think my very favorite verse is Mark 11:23, where Jesus says this, quote, "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them." End quote. So there are two parts to this 2,000-year-old success formula for creating your expectations. Number one, saying what you want, and number two, leaving no doubt in your heart and believing it will happen. So set the goal and believe in it. And don't be afraid to share your goal with your team. You see, a secret goal, if it's secret, it can't benefit from the participation and force of others. But a well-defined goal, shared with others and sparked with enthusiasm, is going to draw energy, and it's going to draw forces that can't be measured, they can't be suppressed. So maybe you want to help every marketing partner in your group advance at least one title in the next 6 months. Or maybe you set a goal to help all your marketing partners double their business in the next year. Whatever your expectation is, you need to let people know what that is. Now, my experience in building our first billion-dollar company is this. People want to follow people who know where they're going. There's this great story I love of a Midwestern University professor of entomology. And he was studying this caterpillar called the processionary caterpillar. These are the ones where when they move, they hook up to each other, and the leader kind of guides the other group, everyone in the group, to water or mulberry leaves, which they love to eat. So he did this experiment where he connected the first processionary caterpillar to the last one, and then he placed a plate with water and mulberry leaves in the middle. So there really was no leader. They were kind of going around in a circle because the leader was attached to the one in the back. So he wanted to see how long it would take, how long would they be going around in this circle before they kind of broke in to get the food. Well, guess what? They never did. They kept on going around and around and around until they literally fell unconscious because of lack of food and water. Yet the food and water was just like, a couple inches away. So, there's a moral to that story. You can't get there until you know where there is. So without a vision, your organization is as helpless as those leaderless caterpillars. People truly need a vision. In fact, around 900 BC, King Solomon wrote the following, quote, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." That's Proverbs 29:18. The mighty king didn't say that people will not be successful. He didn't say they wouldn't do well. He didn't say they might not make it. He said the people perish. Done, gone, kaput. That's how important the law of expectation is. So set your expectations for you and your team. Believe in your heart they're going to happen. Declare them from the rooftops and expect your way to the top.